my heart. San Francisco.
An American icon has just died. Tony Bennett is dead at the age of 96. My name is Aldo Gandia. I'm here to help Mike North eulogize the great Tony Bennett. How are you, Mike?
Oh, Aldo. He had a great life, 95, 96 years old. I mean, so got to give him credit and, for the longevity of his career. We'll talk a little bit about the highs and lows of his career. He wasn't a perfect man like most of the people we've talked about, although he had the image of a perfect man. I just want to say that you're talking about a guy that was born August 3rd, 1926 in New York City and died at age 96 in New York City. So of Alzheimer's disease. So he had been out of circulation for a while. And he was also a painter. But his main job was singing. He tried some acting. I saw him in, if you remember the movie The Oscar with Stephen Boyd. It was not good.
No.
Not good.
Nope. He gave that up quickly, Mike.
Yeah. Was a bald Italian man.
Mm-hmm.
So, he wore the toupee. He was about 5'7", although I ran into him personally at the Miami Super Bowl. I don't remember what year. And he was outside the hotel I was staying at, waiting for a car, apparently, and the taxi cab stand was next to it. He's standing by himself. He looked shorter than 5'7". I didn't recognize him at first. Had a light blue jogging outfit on, full, with the white stripes down here. Immaculate, I didn't say anything to him, but it was Tony Bennett. And I said, wow. There he is, and he's just waiting. Nobody knew who he was. So, I mean, I'll tell you what kind of run this guy had. My grandmother died in the mid-60s. He was her favorite. He was her favorite.
Yeah.
He died in the mid-60s.
Uh-huh.
There he is.
Some early photographs of him. That's him with his first wife and his first child. And then when he appeared on the Bob Hope Show.
I love Bob Hope.
Huge break for him. Yes, indeed.
Oh, yeah. And his name, of course, Anthony Dominic Benedetto.
Mm-hmm.
He sang jazz also. As a guy that grew up, especially a lot of my time at my grandmother's house, the Lauricella family, Italian singers were the rage. Whether it was my uncle who loved Dion, or Fabian Forte, or Frank Sinatra was the king in that household.
Of course. And then Dean Martin.
My argument about Tony Bennett was he did have some hits. I love Rags to Riches, which is featured prominently, in Goodfellas. Same with songs by Jerry Fale, Italian singers. And my argument always has been he had a limited number of hits, but he won 20 Grammy Awards. Longevity is key here because he outlived all the singers I liked better than him, period.
Yeah.
I mean, Frank Sinatra died. Perry Como. Look up Perry Como sometimes. 100 million records sold. I mean, this was back in the day. Sinatra. Sammy Davis Jr. was one of my favorites. Tony Bennett had a couple hits, but his slump, I was just getting into the age of reason. Well, about a month ago, seriously. But 60, 61. His reign was in the late 50s.
Well, Mike, I'm going to disagree with. Well, go ahead. Finish your story. I think I know where you're headed.
Right. The Beatles came. The English invasion came. Sinatra started appearing in Nehru's. Mitch Miller told him, don't sound like Sinatra. But Mitch Miller at the time didn't know the English invasion was coming.
Yeah.
He was a big part of Tony Bennett's success. But from 64 to 80, it was tough for Tony Bennett, to make a living because of that. And then,
there you go.
He wrote, and he talked to his sons who took over his career and said, people don't want to listen to me. And it was all about getting it out there. And there's his son, very responsible.
Danny Bennett, yes.
Huge responsible for his comeback. Genius type of thing. Got him paired up in duets like Frank Sinatra did. That was the rage. And Lady Gaga later on. So he saw a resurgence. And if you see him in that cut that Aldo so expertly put in at the beginning, Aldo, I'll get your take on this. The second time around is the most joyful time because you can't believe it happened again.
Yes, indeed. He was, as you said at the top of the show, he had some flaws and he had a terrible cocaine problem.
Yes.
And then so he called his kids and says, I'm in trouble. Like, you know, he was really depressed because he no longer had any hits. And Danny and his brother were trying to launch their own band, but it wasn't very successful. But one of the things that Danny learned is that he could manage a business pretty good. So he took over his dad's business and immediately then booked him on young television shows that were geared towards young, hip, college-age type audiences.
Right.
And so he was on the David Letterman show. His likeness was loaned to The Simpsons. There was an animated feature on him. He was on Conan, the Conan show, and I've got a clip of him with Conan talking here.
You're being played on alternative radio stations. You've been on MTV. What's going on?
I'd like to know. It's a new vein, but I'm not knocking it. It's fantastic. You know, all the young adults in America have they consider me cool.
And rightfully so, huh?
Yeah. He looked terrific, by the way. He kept his age well.
Yeah.
Took care of himself. Being an half Italian, I'm always happy to talk about Italian singers, and he was a staple. There's no doubt about it. Like I said, rags to riches. His kid's the one. He put him on MTV, a lot like Tom Jones did. Tom Jones reinvented himself in the same vein. These guys were huge. Bennett in the 50s, Jones in mid 60s, late 60s, early 70s, and then they start getting a little bit, record sales slow down, but they reinvent themselves. And Tony Bennett did it, and his son did it as good as anybody could. He appeared at Ravinia, and like I said, he won all sorts of awards. He won Medal of Freedom. I mean, so his staple, his America Songbook, his Grammys, his two careers embodying the same are unparalleled for the amount of time that he stayed around the entertainment business. So you'll see Tony Bennett, like I said, in some of our pictures, he's thinning. He wore the toupee, but man, it fit. You never knew it.
All right.
See, some toupees are bad. Some toupees are bad. Yes. I remember there was a political guy in Chicago, Clarence McLean, looked like he had a squirrel on his head. You know what I mean?
I remember. Yes.
I can name other guys, but I won't. Okay, they do the toupee thing. I don't have one, but he put that in too. So, I mean, just a fabulous career. Married, like I said, 3 times. You saw it even there. You saw it even there. How I can't believe it because he was left for dead.
Yeah. Look at this toupee. Look at this.
Look at that one. How you doing, everybody?
This is when he was on David Letterman.
Oh yeah.
And his career.
Look at that.
That thing is like made out of cashmere.
I'm 70, but don't push me. I look like a 30-year-old out to collect money.
And that's him on The Simpsons.
And there he is.
And then this was a much, much better toupee.
Oh yeah.
Fit
but
him.
you know, you're trying to figure it out, you know, at that time. So, and you're trying to stay relevant.
Yes,
I mean,
indeed.
even the greatest singers. I mean, Elvis Presley's hair got long. You never thought you'd see. Everybody's hair got longer, trying to stay relevant. He almost died from the cocaine overdose. If he had died here, there's no question in my mind if there was going to be a funeral arrangement made, it would be at Cumberland Chapels.
Indeed.
Up there on Lawrence Avenue. The floral arrangements, everything for the family. If you've ever been there, 8300 West Lawrence, Norwich, Illinois. There's the number. You call them. Go to CumberlandChapels.com. You check it out. It's absolutely a beautiful place, clean, no marks, just beautiful layouts, number of chapels. They'll walk you through everything. And then, heck, afterwards or anytime during the weeknight, you go to Pennyville Station. Maybe you go in there, you see Tony Antonacci, Tino Antonacci, wonderful food there, a nice mix of food, drinks, a great place to imbibe, if you will. It's a place for couples, it's a place for singles, it's that kind of place. It's 4 years old now. They opened right there and right before COVID. They improved the place from where it was, and it was beautiful then. But they have private rooms and everything else. So,
and Mike, I visited their website. They've got a great reservation website where you could pick the table you want, whether you want a booth, whatever you want. It's all there on the website, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you know what you're going to get when you get there, and you see the menu and everything. So, Cumberland Chapels and Pennyville Station, thank them very much. And Aldo, this was an unexpected, but when people say he had a good run, I think that's over. That's basically good run. One of the great runs. I'm glad for him and his family that he's gone. Once you have Alzheimer's, I've had it in my family. I know millions of people have it in their family. So, God bless Tony Bennett from my end.
Yeah, and just one other note regarding his life. He did serve in the military.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, he entered World War II late, and he had to work in concentration camps and cleaning up bodies and so forth. There's some photographs of him with his mom before he went to the war or during on leave, and with some friends. And he recalls one story that made a big impact on his life is that he was with a black fellow officer, and he ran into racism. His sergeant was a racist from the Deep South.
He got demoted.
Because at that point he was doing some singing for the troops, and because he was seen with a black person, the sergeant ripped off his corporal stripes and then sent him into digging the bodies out at one of the concentration camps. And fortunately, Tony had a friend who got him back into the singing, but it's just a shame. And unfortunately, Mike, we've done a number of these shows and we've had to bring up the topic of racism, and it just reminds us that it wasn't long ago when really divided because of racism. But
they had just integrated back then. I mean, during that, and he was in. And I'm glad you brought it up because I did my extensive study, and I being a veteran myself to see. Everybody talks about Elvis Presley.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Tony Bennett was in the European offensive. I mean, they had bullets shot at him, and big time. Cold temperatures, frigid temperatures. They kept warm by laying in their foxholes while enemy gunfire was over their head. So, what a remarkable life. Civil rights leader, by the way. We've talked about Harry Belafonte. But when Marlon Brando was there, and Charlton Heston, which is sort of cool in a way because he was a president of the National Rifles, the NRA, but he also was one of the great civil rights leaders. Well, Tony Bennett was right there with him, arm in arm. So I'm glad we circled around that. So that's a beautiful thing. And what a great American he was. And what a tremendous entertainer he was. Like I said, I like Sinatra and Dean Martin a little better. Man, if you can't make room for Tony Bennett, there's a problem. And he spanned 5-6 decades.
Yeah, incredible life. And to his wife, Susan Crowe, who you see here in this picture, and his 4 sons, our condolences to all of the family and friends and fans of Tony Bennett. He's passed away at the age of 96. Mike, it's always great to see you again.
And with you, Al.
We'll see you next time when somebody big just dies.